and she's from Texas in USA. She's a mom of two with a 25-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son. She's an IT professional for 23 years. So when she's not yoga-ing, she's behind the scenes working on our IT. She's a teacher, yoga teacher for 3 years. And prior to becoming a teacher, she's been practicing yoga for several years. She has 3,000 hours of yoga education, including teacher trainings and hands-on teaching. Wow, Veena, that's a mouthful. You actually come a long way. Do you have anything else to add to this? I'm sure you do.
I think, I don't know, I think for me, the biggest, I'm not a native Texan, so maybe let's start there. I was actually born in Canada,
Okay.
raised in New Jersey on the East Coast, and I moved here about 11 years ago. So I'm not a native Texan, and I'm looking forward to my son going to college so I could, move somewhere else and retire. And so, and I guess for me, for my background, I think my parents are from India, and I was raised in the US with very strong Indian values. And I came to yoga when I was 25, and I learned yoga at a time where it was not popular. So I'd learned in Punjab, India, northern India, and from the communal doctor. Actually, he was not only a yoga teacher, but he was also the doctor for the town where my ex-husband grew up. And that was my first experience with yoga, and I loved it. It was transformative. Right, I knew then that somewhere in my future that this was going to be something that I would always either practice or I would teach. I would do something with it. It really resonated mentally, physically, not so much spiritually at that time, but I think emotionally, definitely, and physically, I saw like a lot of changes in my body. And so I knew then that it was a thing. But then when I came back from my stint in India, I was there for several months. Yoga was not popular. So there were no yoga studios, no yoga teachers. And so on and off, I practiced whatever books I could buy and learn and do. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into yoga. And as far as background is, a little bit more about myself, I think if I work because I need to sustain my roof and my food and my clothes and take care of my son. But if it were up to me, I would do yoga all the time, anything and everything around it. It's definitely brings me tremendous joy in every way. So.
Absolutely amazing. So is there anything specific that brought you to yoga or brought yoga to you?
Actually, interestingly enough, I didn't come to yoga first. I came to yoga by way of meditation. And so about 5 years ago, I was going through a very difficult time in my life. And I had two choices at that time. It was either turn to medicine to work through the issues I was facing. I was going through quite a bit of just family issues. And so I had two choices. Either I could turn to medicine to deal with what I was dealing with. And I was on the verge. I was almost, I can't even explain it. I was like depressed, plus I was going through some sort of an emotional breakdown with everything going on in my life. And that was the crossroads. How do I deal with this? How do I deal with what's going on in my life? And I was also 110 pounds heavier, so there was a lot. I was physically broken. I was emotionally broken. I was spiritually, there was no spirituality, right? And so everybody in my family said, go to a psychiatrist. You need a psychiatrist. And I was like, no, I'm not going to a psychiatrist. And it wasn't so much about the ego, but I really wanted to work through this by myself. I didn't want somebody to put ideas in my head about what may be wrong with me. I wanted to search. I wanted to explore where this could all be coming from and how I could possibly resolve it. And I didn't want to take medication. So I turned to meditation. I actually sat on Google for days, weeks, months, trying to figure out how to meditate, right? To try and calm my mind down, to try and figure out what it was I was going through. Let's take a step back. I have had a very traumatic childhood. I've had a traumatic, I've been through a lot physically and emotionally. And so that all probably had a lot to do with where I was in my life, and things were falling apart because a lot of that emotion, that trauma was coming to the surface as a lot of things in my life were falling apart. So it was like, it was a perfect storm, if you will. So then I turned to meditation. I learned mantra meditation. I found a mantra that really helped me kind of deal with what I was going through, Shanti, you know, just a simple mantra. And that's really when I was like, okay, this stuff works. It was hard, but the more I think maybe where I was in my life, it really spoke to me and I was able to get into it. I was really able to use mantra meditation, kind of get centered, focused, trying to understand, try and peel the layers back of who I was, what I was dealing with. And that's where my weight loss also started. I was miserable in my life, and as part of the misery was putting myself at the end of everybody, you know, taking care of everybody. I was always the last one, and so I never took care of myself. And that changed, and I was like, no, I have to take care of myself, you know. And I started running. So with the meditation, I started running. I never ran. I was 225 pounds. And I went and I got a treadmill and I started running. I could barely run with that much weight on my body. I'm 5 feet tall, but I stayed with it. I really stayed with it. And I lost my first 50 pounds running, plus the meditation. And running became very cathartic. Like I could work through my problems. And I could meditate while I was running. So while I was, you know, taking every step, my mind was focused on that step, every step as I took it, you know. And so it became very cathartic. And I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning in the gym running. So it was really my lifeline. And I dropped 50 pounds doing that, right? At the same time, I started Surya Namaskar at home. And I came to the mat, right? So I wanted to add, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I don't know where it came from, but it was like, all right, let me add Surya Namaskar into my running. And I did. And before I knew it, I started transitioning more and more into a yoga practice. I don't know why, it really resonated again. I think maybe from 25 years back, it came back. And I started going to the studio. And I started with vinyasa. And that's where the story gets a little crazy because, you know, you get into a room full of other yoga students and your ego prevails and you're like, I want to do that and that and that and that. I want to be able to do the headstand and crow and chaturanga and the ego came right in because I was still working so much stuff, right? And I busted my shoulder trying to do chaturanga. I really busted it, you know, and that when it all came to a head. And I was like, what are you doing? Right? And so I realized, I realized really quickly, you know, I gotta really dig deeper, right? And understand what ego is all about.
Exactly. Right. Well, the thing is with yoga, it actually teaches you so much. And what I learned in my journey as well, yoga is not about me. It's about helping the next person. And as a teacher, you actually learn that. And the ego is actually taking the back seat. It's actually thrown out of the window. So yeah, it's quite impressive, quite an inspiring journey.
Yeah. And so then that's when I turned to teacher training because I needed to figure out this stuff. I needed to understand my body, you know, the anatomy. And I needed to understand how my body functioned. And I turned to teacher training.
Well, I think you already answered my question because my next question was, how has yoga changed your life? And I think you did answer it, unless you actually have anything else to add to that.
No, I would say that yoga has changed the way I look at everything. Myself, starting with myself, and then everybody else.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, I think you also answered my next question, which is, has it impacted your life in any way? And I think it did impact your life very positively, because now you're able to serve and take all of the things that you learned to the world. And that's what yoga all about. It's about connecting, and we're actually connecting on a different platform, which is the virtual way, but we are connecting. So yeah, I'm not sure whether you've got anything else to add to that.
Well, I think one of the things I tell my students about yoga is that first you need to disconnect, right? So we talk a lot about connecting, right? But really we start with disconnecting. It's a lot about your samskaras, right? Disconnecting from everything that you've known. And then like it's almost as if you have to relearn, re-know, right? Now you're kind of disconnecting from all of that. And now you're moving in. And it sounds very, I always tell my students last night I was teaching and we were talking about being a warrior. And I said, I know it sounds unicorns and rainbows, but think about it. In our daily life, every day, from the time we wake up in the morning, you're a warrior, because I don't want to get out of bed, but I have to get out of bed because I've got to take care of all of the things that I need to. We start our day being a warrior, right? The minute we step out of our bed, right? And so that goes a lot back to just really understanding, like letting go, disconnecting, and then coming back and looking at things with a very fresh perspective. Knowing it's okay. You know, not every day is going to be perfect. Not every day you're going to want to get up and do all kinds of stuff, and it's okay. I think that's what it's all about. That's when you connect, really. It's after you disconnect and really peel back the layers, and you come to an understanding that, okay, yeah, you know, that thing really affected me this way, and I need to sit with it, and I need to get over it. I need to work through it, get the help that I need. And then you come back, and then you relearn, and then you re-know, and then you connect. So that's what I always tell my students.
Yeah. So basically, it's okay not to be okay.
Absolutely.
Just being authentic.
Absolutely. I think there's this huge misnomer in yoga, okay, that everything is rainbows and unicorns and peace. You should always be at peace and this and that. In fact, before we started this, I was having it out with my son because he knew I was going to talk to you guys. And he waited to the last minute. Mom, I need my breakfast now. I need my clothes now. And I'm like, Nick, seriously, I've been telling you for days that we have to. So yeah, it's not about rainbows and unicorns, right? It's about dealing with the situation head on right there. And you know what? Sometimes you're not going to be okay. And it takes time. You've got to go through the cycle. And sometimes, you know, yoga is not the answer. Sometimes you need a little bit more help, and it's okay, right? It's okay. It's okay to seek help outside of yourself, because sometimes we don't have all of the answers.
Of course, absolutely.
You know, and whether that's reaching out to others or reaching out to medical professionals or reaching out to whatever it is you need, you got to go there, and it's okay. And that's what yoga teaches you, is that you need to be your own advocate, right? You need to be your own advocate.
Basically, yes.
So that's what it is, and that's a big misnomer about
place for it.
Yeah. So
yeah, there's a place for each and every one of us in society, whether you're actually a yoga teacher, whether you're a normal teacher teaching students in schools, whether you're a doctor, medical profession. Basically, there's a okay. Is there a specific diet that you follow?
Yes, and it's called the everything in moderation. Okay, so even when I started losing weight, I ate chocolate every day, and everybody's like, and I put sugar in my coffee every day, and you know, but everything in moderation.
Wow.
Absolutely, I don't believe that life is cut anything out. Like I don't think, like I can't live without I can't live without out a piece of chocolate every day. I need sugar in my coffee every day. I need to be able to eat carbs. I need to be able to eat, life is not like, you can't cut everything out. And even scientifically, all of these diets, you do the keto diet, you do the paleo diet, you do this, they will tell you it is not sustainable. So why not go to a diet that's going to be sustainable? And what's sustainable? Eat everything, but just eat a little bit of everything, right? In moderation.
Yeah. In moderation.
Yeah, everything in moderation. Understand what macronutrients are. Understand what carbohydrates are versus proteins versus fats. Why you need to consume all three for a holistic diet. And I am a vegetarian, so I don't consume any meat products. I don't eat eggs. I very rarely do I take dairy. And that works for me. That really works for me and my body. But I don't cut anything out. We had cupcakes this weekend. I went to Unrefined. It's a vegan bakery, and I got cupcakes. And my son and I had 1.5 cupcakes each on Sunday. But then I trained hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I trained super hard. Did my core work, did my flexibility work, did my strength work, did my cardio. I did that, but did I regret eating my cupcake? No, but I balanced it out, right? Balance.
Yes,
balance.
of course. You have to have balance in life.
You have to. And I feel like cutting anything from your life is not authentic, right? It's not authentic. And the first thing in yoga, especially if you follow the Yoga Sutras, which are predominant teachings of yoga in modern day, right? The first yama is going to be ahimsa, and ahimsa means nonviolence, and nonviolence is towards yourself as well. And anytime you're depriving yourself, that's violence, right? Anytime you're not taking care of your physical well-being, that's violence against yourself. And not violence in the brutality point of view, but the violence of not taking care of yourself. So, you can't cut things out. You have to learn to have everything but balance.
Of course, absolutely.
Right?
And I do agree with you.
Yeah, and for some people, things may be triggers. Like pasta was a trigger for me. If I ate, I wanted a lot of pasta. But what I really learned was if I balanced it with a little bit of protein, vegetarian protein, and a little bit of fat, it satiated me. So it goes back to learning, right? Learning, understanding. So that's what it is. And the fourth limb of the sutras is asana, right? That's why we're talking about this. Is why asana is so important in this journey. Because it's really where it all starts, on the mat.
Yeah. So I think it's also creating healthy habits. So, and that is what you are doing, and you're also teaching all of your students as well. So wow.
So I think, go ahead.
Okay. Would you recommend yoga to someone that's struggling with issues such as weight gain or mental health issues? And why would you recommend it if you are going to recommend yoga?
I would never recommend yoga as the only therapy, because for a lot of people, yoga is very therapeutic. It was for me. It is for me. Not just was. It is for me. I would recommend it as in combination with other therapies, because oftentimes we live in a society where we're always looking for immediate gratification, and we have to understand that nothing in and of itself is going to completely solve whatever we need to solve for, right? So that's what I always tell my students. Sometimes if you're physically injured, yoga is not going to solve for that injury. Yoga may help you become more mindful about the pain that you're experiencing. It may also be the cause. Asana may be the cause for why you have gotten injured. You need other therapy to be able to help solve, in conjunction with the yoga, what you're experiencing, right? So it's not the be it end all. what I think yoga does for you is makes you become more mindful. Again, back to your yamas, back to ahimsa, back to why we practice asana, which is to prepare, to make your body strong, to prepare it for meditation. If you really look at the sutras and the 8 limbs of yoga, it really tells you right then and there that, you know, it is why all of these things are so important and they work together. But oftentimes it's not the be it solution. You need other things to help you. And I myself, I'll give you the perfect example. I smoked even as physically fit and as much as I take care of my body, I smoked a lot. So I had to go to my doctor. I had to break down and go to my doctor and say, I need help. Like, I can't do this. No matter how much I meditate, I still go for the cigarette. So we sat down, we came up with a plan, and I started a medication, and that really helped. And now I'm 8 weeks without cigarettes, and I'm also, I think, 3 weeks without the medication. So I just needed that little bit of help to get over, you know, what I was struggling with. And then the yoga just reminds me, the meditation, the asana reminds me how good I feel about myself, not smoking, and I continue with it.
Well done. Well done. Because I mean, especially with any addictions for that matter, it's very difficult to actually move away from it, because you find people actually find comfort in things that are addictive. It's like even chocolate. Chocolate is addictive,
Right.
and because it's some sort of chemical in it. So we actually, it's like comfort food. That's what most people call it.
Right.
But when you actually put your mind to it and you also ask for help, because you're already setting that intention, and that is why it has been so remarkable for you. And well done. Well done.
I mean, I attribute everything to my yoga practice because it makes me think a lot. I think a lot. I spend a lot of time, and not to the point where it's counterproductive. It's just enough thinking to start making you look for solutions in conjunction with the practice, right? So.
Wow. Okay. So from your experience, how does one become successful in reaching their goal weight, since you actually have experience with all of that?
Conviction. First, we start with conviction, right? Like you have to have conviction for your goals. You have to first believe in yourself that you can get there. And I know this sounds very fluffy, but you know, it's true. Like I believed in myself that I was capable of doing it. And then I had conviction to follow through. And even in my setbacks, right? I had to remind myself that with every setback, I'm learning how to solve a problem and then move forward with it.
Okay. Yeah,
And
wow.
so there's and the other thing is there's no magic pill, no magic diet, no magic pill, no magic anything. There's no instant gratification. It's hard work. It is hard work. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. It's the truth. Is it achievable? Absolutely. I done it. 110 pounds, you know,
Wow.
110 pounds. I've done it. And no drug, no, nothing. It's just been it's a sheer desire to be the best person I can be. And I realized my self-reflection, the way I looked at myself had everything to do with what I looked like. And I know that's ego, but you know what yoga is all about? Yoga is all about finding your best potential, being the best person you can possibly be, overcoming your misery, right?
So how long did it take you to since the beginning of your journey till now, how long did it take you to actually lose all of that as well?
I want to say to get to my lowest weight, which was 114 pounds from 225, I think it was almost a year and a half.
But that's actually quite impressive. It's
It
really
was, it was very, very fast. But again, I think it goes back to just being super convicted. Maybe you're a little over a year and a half. But since then, I have also gained back 20 pounds. So at my lowest, I was 114, which was probably in October of last year. But then I
Mm.
started strength training, and I started really doing a lot of strength training, and I gained about 20 pounds. So now I'm about 135 pounds. My body is very different from what it was in October. In October, I was very, very thin.
Mm.
Now I'm strong. Like now I'm definitely, there's a lot of strength that I've gained. I've made a lot of strength gains, which has changed my body, and it's changed the scale. So I threw my scale out.
Very good. I actually
How
have a
does it
few pictures of you, so I'm going to share it with our audience for them just to have a glimpse of your journey and what you look like then. But you still look stunning even at that time. So
Yeah, very
just
sweet.
to
Thank you.
give me a second.